Profit's not a bad word, and every time we need to talk about it. Like, we're here to make money. It's okay.
I'm Mark Olson. Luke Gibson and I have a combined 50 years in construction as fence contractors. In that time, we have both experienced failures and success. We travel the country talking with other contractors who share their experiences in hopes that their stories can make you a more successful contractor.
People, I think, get scared and they don't want to tell the customer I'm here to make money. No, I'm here to give you a service. I'm not here because I like you. I'm here to make money. I'm here to build you a product better and more effectively than you could do by yourself. And I'm going to make money for my services and my knowledge and my expertise and my tools and my resources. I'm going to make money from that. So if you have to start with the end in mind, you have to sell the job with the end in mind. You have to be able to process that project and sell that job knowing this is how much money I'm going to make. This is how much money I'm going to spend. This is how much money that I need to charge. So with the end in mind, I have to decide, who am I? What is my business? How much does it cost for me to keep the light bulb on? How much does it cost for me to have time to have an interview with Mark? It's all inclusive in that price. How much does it cost for me to have chrome trucks running around or Mr. Fence hats? All that's inclusive. People like to tell me that their overhead is X. I'm like, I don't think that has everything. Everything you need to be charging for that. Not, well, I already paid that. No, you didn't already pay that. That's all inclusive in the big bucket, right? The whole bucket of revenue. Where does all that money go? And you stop and start thinking about it, and you stop and start tracking every penny, every dollar, where it went, where it needs to go, where it's going to go. Then you start realizing, like, oh, I need to charge this much to break even. You'll find that number first. Now, once we're there, now let's have a discussion about why are you doing this and how much money should you be making providing this. It has nothing to do with XYZ fence company, neighbor fence company, Chuck in a truck fence company. It has nothing to do with them.
Because that's nothing. The other favorite question is, Shawn King, Mr. Fence, could you please tell me how much you charge for cedar fence? No, I'm in Wyoming. If you wouldn't mind please sharing with me your pricing so that I don't have to put any thought whatsoever into what I'm doing and figure that stuff out, I'll just hope to live off of your numbers, and we'll hope that's good enough.
Hope that's works.
I hope you did your homework.
You got to figure it out, right?
You're going to make me survive, Shawn King, Mr. Fence. I'm really counting on you.
So if maybe you don't have the overhead that I have, you shouldn't charge as much as I charge.
Right? Are my labor costs the same as your labor costs?
Totally different.
Not even close.
Yeah. Our unemployment insurance is totally different. Workers' comp is totally different.
So why in the world does what Shawn King, Mr. Fence, charges for cedar fence matter to me at all? It doesn't, and it shouldn't, because our costs are completely different. Our ground conditions are different. Our overhead's different. Our insurance is different. Our labor costs
Even
are different.
The fence
our
company
material costs are different.
Next door is different than me.
Yeah, it's not the same.
It's not the same. So when you have a customer that says, well, so-and-so is X, well, they're $1,000 cheaper. I love that. They're $1,000 cheaper. Well, guess what?
Good job.
Guess who knows their pricing better than anybody else? If they're telling you they're $1,000 cheaper, I promise you they're $1,000 cheaper or even more in the quality and everything else they're doing. They're not giving you anything for free. So if somebody's telling you, this pen I'm going to sell you, it's $1,000 cheaper than Shawn's pen, they're going to sell you a pen that is probably $1,200 cheaper. They're going to cut corners.
That's the guy that's going to, that's the company that's going to send the crew out there that's going to yell and scream at each other, maybe getting a knockdown, drag out fist fight on your property. Right. Probably hit every utility out there because they didn't call those in, because why you need to do that?
What? If he could sell that pen for $800 less than you, he would. If he could sell that pen for $500, but what he's telling you is the best he can do is sell this pen for $1,000 cheaper than you, because that's the best he can do. Not because he's giving you a deal. It's because he does not believe it's worth another penny more than that, and he's already stretching it to get to that $1,000. He's doing the best he can to get that $1,000 cheaper than you. So when a homeowner says, well, they're $1,000 cheaper, well, I bet they are. And anybody, they know their pricing better than anybody. And if he's telling you to your face that he's going to do $1,000 cheaper, then you're going to get a fence $1,000 cheaper. That's what you're going to get. What does that mean? Well, that means your posts may not be deep enough in the ground. You may not have as much concrete. You may not have keyholes. You may not have belled-out holes. You may not have stainless steel hardware. You may not have side channel screws. You may not. I can go on and on about things that you may not have that you will not see as a customer on the surface until they're gone, and you paid your $1,000 cheaper, And the fence does what? It starts moving. It starts changing. It's not what you paid for. It's not what you thought you were getting. You find out that you have a problem with your gate. Are you going to call them? Are they going to come back? I don't know. Are they going to be in business next year?
You called them on the phone and said that the number's no longer good. You know why it's no longer good? Is because they sold it too cheap and they went out of business.
They went out of business. So,
and that happens all the time too.
I get some people say, well, I'm not going to pay for the big fancy trucks. Okay. Then pay for the broke down trucks and good luck. I don't know what to tell you, but this is who we are, and I'm proud of it. I'm proud of it. This is what we do. And here's the thing I like to know. If I wasn't successful and I didn't have people that we were working for that were happy with our work, I wouldn't be in business. But the sheer fact that we have been in business for 25 years, operating like this, should tell the customer that, maybe they do have it figured out. Maybe they are worth that extra. Because if I wasn't,
I like to pay for a little bit of success myself. Yeah. I know that company is going to be there when I call them back, and if there's an issue, they're going to be there. Or if I need another one, they'll call the same company and deal with them over again.
I tell them right up on the sales call, I'm proud of the fact that we have a process and a procedure for the issues. We are not perfect. We are absolutely going to make mistakes. The difference is we actually have a process to fix those mistakes. It's not a, well, we'll try to get out there, Mrs. Jones, and they write on a scrap piece of paper up on a desk. Like, there is actually work orders in place and a process in our company when they call in. There's a procedure in place to fix it. I don't think any other fence company that we deal with in our local market that has that. They have I'll try to remember to get by there next time in that area.
That makes me think of something else. You get the people that, I'm just so busy I can't even answer the phone anymore. And those are the same people that will tell you they can't raise their price, are the same people chasing their tail, and they stop answering the phone right about now. I mean, they're definitely not answering the phone now because they're so swamped. They sold so much work at such a low price. They can't figure out how to get it all done, and they could have just sold a little less work at a higher profit margin. And done better, right?
There's an Excel sheet I have out there, that, black and white. It's mathematics. You can raise your price by 10% and do 20% less work. You can lower your price by 5%, and how much more work you got to do? A ton more work you got to do to make the same amount of money. Yeah. What are we doing? Why are we doing that? Why are we lowering our price and doing more work? That's more opportunity for mistakes. That's more opportunity for issues to have on a project. That's more workflow. That's running the system harder. But
every one of these jobs is just like gambling. It's just an opportunity to put chips in the pot, and you may or may not get them back.
That's right.
Every single one of these jobs, we are 100% risk takers.
Every time you drive to the job site, you're taking a risk.
It's like playing a hand of poker.
So that goes back to why I try to limit to one-day installs. I'm cutting my risk by 50% if I go to the job site one time, then drive that truck there twice. On the risk of something falling off a truck getting into an accident on the way to project, as well as setup and cleanup time. Just by limiting the number of times that we're traveling. Every time we do a job, there's inherent risk with the project. We may or may not make money with things that we can or cannot control. Mistakes or no mistakes. Sometimes things are outside of our control, like hitting the water line today on a project. It's not Mark's, it's a private line. It's not our responsibility, but at the end of the day, the water line got hit. There's mud everywhere, water running everywhere. It's still an issue we got to deal with. I could not control that. I couldn't fix that. Couldn't stop that. Is I got to cut into my profits a little bit? Probably. Because technically it's going to slow the crew down. No matter how you slice it, who fixes the line, how it goes about it, we got a mud mess out there. And that's happening because of something we had no control over. And that happens every day.
That was a risk.
It's a risk we took. Sometimes we dial it in, we knock it out of the park, we're in and out of there in seconds. Other times we're not.
So we were talking about teams earlier, and one of the team aspects is making sure that one person, their job is not more important than another person. And I kind of misstated that earlier, saying that the crews are the ones that are out there making the money. But the truth is that every single one of the people before the job ever gets to a crew is just as critical as the crew themselves. And that's that team aspect.
Every part of the process. We have support teams. If we didn't have support teams, no different than busboys and back bars for waitresses and bartenders. Without the support team, you can't do your job properly. So we have a project right now that needs some gates. We had to switch up the project today, so the crew had to come back, grab posts and panels, and take off. The gates weren't built. The gates are built now. It's nobody's fault right now, but they need the gates. So we've got a guy in the shop that's going to drive those gates out there. It's not part of his job. He's supposed to be building gates and prepping jobs, but he just message me and say, hey, you want me to run these gates out to the crew? Absolutely. Take off.
Right up to the very first people that your customers meet when they call in. They call into the staff on the phones, reception, and those people are taking on other tasks as well. But how those people handle the customers and handle the leads and turn those over to the salesman, who then has to go out there and set customer expectations and sell the fence.
Let's talk about the ugly part of that. They are the first ones to get the phone call, but they're also the first ones to get the upset homeowner. It happens. Mistakes happen, or expectations aren't met, or expectations weren't properly communicated with the homeowner. So what happens is the receptionist in the office has to take that call. Is it their job to listen to someone rant and rave about how their expectations weren't met, or they're not satisfied with the project? But as team members, they put on a good face, they handle it professionally, they communicate with the homeowner, and they get the proper person involved to get the solution to the problem. So that's not in their job description necessarily. It's not something you want them to have to deal with. I'd like to get that phone call, but unfortunately, I can't weed them all out. I have to go through the process.
But if they don't play their part on the team, that makes everybody else's job harder. If they upset the customer before the crew gets back out there to fix it, then it makes the crew's job harder. So everybody really has to have that role and work together as a cohesive team, or it all falls apart. If the salesman doesn't do their job of explaining the process and what the customer should expect, then the crew has a harder time. If the crew comes back and doesn't do their part and unload their truck neatly and just dumps a pile in the yard, that makes the yard people...
The yard people are behind picking that up.
So it's realizing your position on the team and playing your part well.
So expectations, we were talking about it a moment ago, and I think that's one of the biggest battles we fight as a team, as a business, is properly setting up the expectations for our customer. If we fail to properly educate them on the project, then we're going to fail to meet their expectations. So out the gate, right away, we need to educate them on who we are, what we do. Our sales staff needs to educate them on how we build the fence of the project, how it's going to look when it's done. I think oftentimes we focus on getting the sale, and we forget to talk about the unattractive stuff, like what happens with the dirt. What do our private utilities mean? When do I get that stand?
My sprinklers?
What happens if I hit my sprinklers? Yeah, who's going to take care of that? And a lot of times, I think the salesmen are scared to talk about that because they don't want to put a negative light. Don't want the homeowner to think of what could go wrong, and would rather get the sale, get a signed contract, and then move on. But the reality of it is, can we build what they're asking us to build, how they want us to build it, in the timely manner that they're asking us to build it? Be honest with them, yes or no, and explain the process. Oftentimes when a homeowner's upset, it's because they expected X and we provided Y. Whose fault is that? It's a miscommunication through the process. So we have to do a good job of communicating throughout the entire team of what this homeowner is expecting, what they're looking for, what they need. That comes back to communication tools. We're taking pictures of every single estimate, of every single part of the project, whether or not we sell it or not. If we do end up selling it, we have pictures. We're pointing at objects in the pictures. We've got measurements in the pictures. We've got flags. We've got the homeowner pointing out things in the pictures. We've got notes. We have that information in the original meeting with the homeowner. So he says, no, I told you to put it here. Well, we have proof right here where we agreed to put it here the first day we talked. Or this was supposed to be removed.
She'll get scope creep. Yeah, I talked to your salesman. He said you guys would absolutely remove those 10 trees for me and haul them off.
Right.
That's what the salesman told me, and so you guys are okay. The salesman says, I didn't tell him that.
I didn't tell him that. Then what do you do?
He said, she said, and
you lose that because they'll go to social media and badmouth you. So
you will always lose.
You'll lose that. So you're tearing out 10 trees. But if you have documentation, pictures, and processes, those people, it makes it very difficult for them to pull that over on you.
If you have in your notes on the bid that says these 10 trees will be removed by the homeowner, boom, problem solved. But if you don't note that, it says these trees will be removed and there's no by the homeowner note, there's a problem.
There's a problem. It's communication. So thoroughly communicate, have proper documentation. If it's not written down, it didn't happen. We need everything in writing. We don't rely on our sales to make promises verbally.
Everything. People, our guys struggle with that too. Everything in writing.
Everything
in writing, or it doesn't count.
Yeah. I'm okay with an email for a change order.
I don't really care.
Text,
in writing.
In writing. As long as it's from them. I can prove that it came from them. then that's fine. But expectations got to be met. I think. So an idea that I was talking to Mark about, I'm thinking about making some videos that will be sent to our clients the moment they buy a project. It'll be a video of me talking about the project. I mean, I know how we're going to build it and how the process will look like, and I try telling my team that. But I get it, they're busy and they forget some details sometimes. But if I have a video made talking about wood fence, and every customer that buys a wood fence, we send them this video, and it's me talking to the customer. And in that video, I'm telling them about what we're going to do with the dirt, what to expect with the cracking, checking, warping. What does that mean? What does it look like? When should you stain your fence? That way, if one of my team members says, oh, you can stain it later, or the homeowner thought they heard the salesman say, just stain it when it dries out, and they think that means 6 months. In my world, it doesn't mean 6 months. It could mean days or weeks. So if I have a video that I send to them, now I have something from my mouth to theirs before we ever built the fence about the expectations. I'm hoping that'll relieve some of the failed expectations we have with our clients sometimes by sending this video. I can make one for vinyl, one for aluminum. And once you make it, then it's just a matter of texting or emailing it over and over and over to the clients, one and done. I've never done it before, but I think we're getting ready to do it to solve that expectation problem. I think expectations are key. You gotta talk about it. What are we building and why are we doing it and how are we getting it done?